We'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am in the driveway, and today we are gonna upgrade an animal's enclosure, and specifically, it's Boba. Boba is one of the sulfur guru mixes that I produced, and my favorite holdback out of that whole group. He's outgrown his 2x3x4 enclosure, and he's ready for the next step up. And I think the perfect next step, I don't know if he's ready for, he's a little rambunctious this morning, isn't he? He's about to go through a really good shed. Yeah, so he's definitely ready for his next step up. And his next step up is going to be one of the 4x4x6s. And with the 2 shelves, I think that we're gonna be able to have a bigger water for him in there, and I think it's gonna be much better. We can still driveway him through winter, and I think by the end of winter, let me get that sun right, by the end of winter, I think he'll be ready for one of the large enclosures. So we'll just get him through the next couple months and roll him in and out of the garage. Now, we just released a short, and I will probably include that short.
Boba versus the hard-boiled egg. Oh my gosh, you can eat it whole? Holy cow, Boba. I was expecting you to make a complete mess of that egg, and you just swallowed it whole. Holy cow. You must be getting big if you can down an egg like that, buddy.
What really, I mean, I know just by looking at him, know that he's ready. And, but yesterday, Kagan fed him a hard-boiled egg and really expected him to make a mess of the egg and break it up and stuff. He swallowed it whole. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I had other plans on other stuff to work on and build, but this has been something I keep saying, I gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it. But I mean, now the female, she's still fine in here. She, by the end of winter, may move where we're moving him. So she may be a couple months, 3-4 months behind him before she's ready for a large enclosure. I'm gonna show you more of the steps. People have asked, because these type of enclosures are more practical for more people. And it's been a while since I built a driveway enclosure or a rolling enclosure. This is something you could have on your back porch, front porch, driveway, as we do.
Check out who's still in the driveway, you guys.
The iguanas. Well, it's winter time. We're rolling them in and out. So these enclosures make sense for a lot of people, and they actually have a lot of space, even though they're not taking up a lot of floor space. They really do. And we could make use of more of it. We could add more shelving, but I think the way we have it set up works for us. So, because I'm able to get in there and get the hide box out. Okay, Angus is pigging out on his bananas and apples right now, eating the banana peel. I'm gonna get started. Okay, I'm in what will be the wood shop area. Right now it is just a landing area for more stuff. All the rabbit enclosures that were broken down, she has a stack of them for sale because she's not going to use them anymore, and I believe she's going to store a couple of them for transferring animals and stuff like that in the future. What I have to do first is take these pressure treated 2x4s and rip them into 2x2s. If you go to the hardware store or your local lumber yard and try and pick out pressure treated 2x2s, you might spend half your day looking through a bunch of things that look like snakes. It's hard to get straight ones. Once that pressure treated lumber gets that small, it kind of finds a way to twist and turn. The 2x4s, I can pick them straight. Now they're going to twist and turn as they dry. What I'm gonna do is rip them into 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So I'll just loosen up my guard here on my table saw. Set a 2x4 there. not always easy one-handed. Just loosely at 1.5, clamp it down, then I'll rip it, again, just trying to show you an example, this way. And then once that other board, the excess, because this board is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So once I rip the two of them, I'll end up with the scrap. That scrap is minus the blade lengths, will probably give me a 1/4 inch strip. Something very similar to this. This is a 1/4 inch strip. And this is what we'll use on the enclosure once it is screened, so the staples can't back out, and this will be screwed to the enclosure. So we're gonna end up with one of those strips for all 10 of these 2x4s. We may not need any more. I think I'll probably rip maybe 8 of the 2x4s right now into rough 2x2s. They'll actually be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And then we could start building the frame of this enclosure. It's cheaper this way, and I can get better, straighter lumber this way. So I'm gonna start ripping the lumber, and then we'll build the frame. Okay, so what I have here on my shop floor is a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of PVC board that you can get at your local hardware store. The idea of that is the floor of the enclosure is a material that won't rot with whatever substrate you have sitting on it, whether it be mulch or a thin layer of dirt or whatever. It's not gonna rot. What it doesn't like is extended exposure to sunlight, but again, it's gonna be covered, so it's not really getting that. And I believe extended sunlight will only warp it somewhat. It's gonna be supported so well, that's not gonna happen. So this is actually underneath the enclosure. So these are those ripped 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, or what we call 2x2s. And this is the middle support. So this is 48 inches, and those 3 are 45 inches, plus that and that makes 48. So we have a square floor. Once I pre-drill with, I don't know the exact size I'm using, it's either an 1/8 or 3/16 drill bit. I'll pre-drill through this one so it doesn't crack, and put a 3-inch screw. I'll measure that one out, do that, get the whole thing square, flip it over and screw it to the PVC board. And then I will flip it back over, and I'll show you a problem that we have on the other ones that are, how old are they now? They may be like 3 years old, maybe 4 years old. But I'm gonna show you a problem we're having with them, with the casters, and we're gonna solve that problem before we even get this one done. Always solving problems. Make it better every time. So I'm gonna get this screwed together, and I'll show you that next step. I have the PVC board screwed down to that frame. I have the 6-foot tall 2x2s that are gonna go on all 4 corners. Create that. And then the roof, I have 2 48s and 2 45s to screw together, which will get set just on top of that and screwed down to that. The screen and the trim do a lot to hold it all together, as well as I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do some 2x2 gussets to add rigidity and strength and keep it square. So I'm gonna try and do this while holding the camera. Okay. And show you the problem. So here is the problem. In the couple of years the other enclosures were built, I've worn out casters. I'm probably on the 3rd set of casters, the original, and I've probably replaced them twice. But I have been cheap and bought the 2-inch casters because my money was going in so many other directions to build other enclosures. This is a little bit larger. I believe this is a 2.5-inch caster. But say you put your caster here, those screw holes are the same screw holes that you're gonna have to use every time. So every time you replace, and I can only put 3 screws in it. So the caster will have some little bit of lift and movement, which will work the screws loose, wallow the holes. And I mean, the coated hardware or galvanized hardware, whatever you're using, still will corrode. sitting outside in Florida. So what I'm gonna do is with 2-inch screws, I'm gonna put 3/4 inch plywood square in that corner. And so once that's screwed on, the caster can be there. It could be moved to different locations over the replacements. Like hopefully I won't have driveway enclosures for incredibly longer, and then these enclosures can get set on posts somewheres strategically in the yard. I don't know. Maybe they will stay on casters. Maybe we always will have young animals that will get rolled inside probably the shop later. But whatever the case may be, the 3/4 inch plywood, which is scrap plywood from me doing other projects, will allow me to put the casters in different places and a lot more material to screw through and utilize all 4 holes, which will make it stronger. So I have to do that to one of the driveway enclosures with the rhino iguanas immediately. So as I'm doing this project, I cut 2 sets of these. I'll have to do those. I'll have to do the driveway enclosures as well. So before this goes on, I need to drill my pilot hole and use a 3.5 inch screw and go straight through that into the 6-foot 2x2s. So I'll have to build the top frame, screw these uprights on, screw the top frame, then screw this on, then screw the casters on, and then you'll see it once it's rolling around. Okay guys, now she's on the wheels. All that's good. Now look how wobbly it is, right? So one of the major things, I say this is gonna be the front of the enclosure, is 1/2 inch pressure treated plywood that I'm gonna screw, goes 32 inches up, but it needs something to screw to at the top. So we gotta put a 2x2 on these 3 sides. We've got to do a 2x2 for the upper shelf on those 2 sides, have that marked out. And then I have to frame out for the door. So I have a 2x2 that goes below that and above that right there. And then we have to do another upright. You'll see it once it comes together. There's no plywood on the front. So I have all of those 2x2s cut, as well as the gussets that will help square it up and sturdy it up. Now they're gonna help, but it's really not gonna be fully sturdy. You'll see it'll hold it square. It goes in these 2 corners and this corner here. But it's not really sturdy until that plywood's there. Forgot to buy it yesterday. I forgot to buy the mulch, and I forgot to buy the hinges. So we're gonna get so far today, and then we're gonna stop this afternoon. I'm gonna have to go and get some more supplies, and we'll finish this up the next day. Screen, trim, everything. So we're gonna get as far as we can with the supplies we have. We'll build the door frame, things like that. All right, I'm gonna get these pieces on, and you'll see the next step. Okay, it's day 2 working on this enclosure, and I have it laying on its side. I've already cut the plywood pieces to 32 inches, and to square up the enclosure, I've just put 4 screws in it. The plywood starts square, so I know that that is square. So what I'll do is I have the back one tacked on and this side one tacked on. Now I know this side is now square and this side is now square. So I'm gonna get the screen on here, the screen on the front side, and the screen on the roof. And then while I have it in that position, I'm gonna go ahead and get the trim strips on it as well. So I'm gonna get the screen, and then I'm gonna show you me doing the strips. I also have the door I can do as well. That can be done last, it's fine. As far as screen, I have a fresh roll that I had purchased to finish up the roofing in row 4. And I have the screen that came from underneath the quail enclosure. Now there's grass that's growing through it. It's dry, I can pull it out relatively quick. There's nothing wrong with it because it's galvanized screen. Why not reuse that screen here? So I'm gonna start cutting my pieces. I have 2 of these. I'll be able to use both of them. So I'm gonna start hanging the screen, and I'm gonna show you once I get to the strips. So now I have all of the screen done, including the door sitting over there. And I have the strips done on the roof, and I'm starting to do the strips all around. Now, the strips that were left over from ripping those 2x2s, oh man, For a second there, I just lost my train of thought. They were a little on the thin side. They were 1/4 inch. This one's actually a little thick. That one might be 3/16. So typically I would probably put, looks like 5 screws in it. This one is thick enough. If anything, that's a fat 1/4 inch thick one. Whereas that one's thin. I added an additional screw in between because it's so flexible. I need this to be strong because what these animals will do is they will walk around their enclosure and nose and push and push, and they will find that weak spot. And if it's flexible somewhere, they will keep working it, and they will find, if there is anything weak in this enclosure, they will find it. They have nothing else to do all day. And that's why I put this strip on. It's an insurance policy. I've ripped some more lumber. I'm gonna get all the strips on. After we get all the strips, including the door done, then we can hang the door and the lock set. Put the shelving in, a couple logs, mulch, hide box, Boba. Plugging away. Okay guys, we have a latching enclosure. Everything works as it should. Everything is trimmed out nicely. These actually were some clusters of palms. 2 of them fell down in the storm, so I had some long lengths of it. So that should be good. I'll get the mulch on the bottom. I'll get him a nice sized water tub and a hide box similar to what we have in the iguana enclosures. See if I can open this without Angus getting too excited. Hey Angus. So something similar to that. I do have to put a hole in the back wall to run the wire out. I don't know if I want to give him flaps yet, because really we're going to be rolling him in the garage. That is an option. I just don't want to lose any progress with him. Let's get the mulch in and all that stuff, and I'll show you once it's set up. I think we're feeding today, so maybe after everything is set up, we'll get some food in here and move him into the new enclosure with some food. He should like that. I still need to rinse that out and fill it up with water. I have his hide box in. That's the only bad part about that white floor. If the mulch ever moves to the side, there's bright white. And lastly, I did put the flaps on his hide box, so I ran the electrical out of the back. Now I need a big enough hole for the plug to fit through, but obviously with an animal you can't have that. So I just do this simple notched block, and those screws will screw on the back. I think the other enclosures it's screwed through the inside, but kind of makes sense screwing it in from the back because I can access it easier. I have to crawl through the whole enclosure to unscrew it, and I'm a little heavy for that floor. So I will screw this on, and I have the water tub, and then I believe we're gonna move Boba. All right, this is the exciting finale.
Hey, Boba.
Now, Kagan has been chopping up chicken for their food, so she never wears gloves, but he's actually not sure of the gloves.
Yeah. Come on, buddy.
That smells like something strange to him. So the problem is that he also smells an overwhelming smell of chicken. Everyone around him has just been fed. I mean, you could see that nudge is almost like a, hey, can I eat this nudge? So she kind of needs him to choose to crawl on her, and at the same time not smell her forearms, because again, she was just processing food. So she's going to try and quickly and calmly transfer him without getting him excited. He is going to.
He's trying so hard to smell that chicken.
Now, he's not going to know what, this is what he needed.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his size. He now has a proper water dish. Oh, he's going to love it. He's gonna
know
love
what
it.
This little jiggle is, though.
And watch how quick he grows in this enclosure. I really feel like he kind of stunted a little bit. It started growing wide instead of long.
Wanna try your upper shelf?
Yeah, now he has way more height than he's ever had before. Don't make him kamikaze down.
No.
That's good that he can go that way. Let's see if you can't get him to his bigger water.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see his face. These stupid bugs are in the way. Can you guys see that? Maybe not. It's like 100 gnats just flying around in a swarm. He is growing past that female rapidly.
So fast.
Rapidly. Now she looks a lot prettier because she's further out of that shed. Although she is a little cloudy for herself. Now she just ate, so I don't want to excite her, but look how pretty the ocelli are on her back. She'll still give curious tongue flicks. But she's not used to the camera being stuck in her face. She's not as friendly as Boba.
Alright, he's down that piece.
He's down that piece. Alright, let's see him get to his water. He's like, what is all this real estate? I'm not used to all this.
Ooh. That's an ocean.
Yeah.
Are we just realizing where we
I
are?
can see the shed's already off his neck.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like it just hit him, but he's like, oh my gosh, I'm in someplace crazy.
Yeah. He's wanting to explore. Now he almost had a throat puff, like just an unsure moment. Like you said, it really just registered that he was in a very strange place. So he's being more cautious than he normally is.
Come get in this water, Boba. He's like, I'm gonna try my best to avoid it. Yeah.
He does not want to be in the water right
No,
now.
he does not.
So funny.
Alright, buddy. One more piece.
And maybe show him the inside, the flap to his hide. Maybe stick it by his flap, like kind of in. Let him learn that. Ooh, look. Now, he's never had a hide box before. Good, he knows that it moves. He'll smell that chicken on that flap later.
Got just a couple more little tiny pieces, buddy.
Now to finish this video, we'll let him explore. We finally have his nameplate put on there. Not a permanent nameplate, but I do have one of those temporary wood ones that I made. So we know who's in each enclosure. you go. Boba's enclosure for the next couple months. Yeah, look at him. He's going into his hide box. That's great.
That's awesome. He's like, ooh, a house.
Well, it's one of those moments that just makes you really, really happy. Upgrading his enclosure, making him happy, makes all the work worth it. Next, what is next? Ooh, next is the last 2 enclosures on row 3. That's what I need to knock out next. And quickly after that, so finishing on that video, we will be putting Miko into his permanent enclosure and really setting up an enclosure for a black roughneck. Maybe a little more shelving. That sun is violently hitting me in the eyes.
Here we go.
But, oh, thank you. And then the next 2 enclosures will be moving the albinos outside, which I can't wait to get them out of the garage and give those 2 lizards some more real estate.
But first, lots of digging.
Lots of, yeah, that's right. We have to dig all of the dirt out of those 2 enclosures and replace it with white sand. I think I may have to get another load of the sand we like and not the sand that we have. But I have a week or so to figure that out. All right, guys, until next time. Oh, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. We need growth, so please share our channel. Thank you.